This is chapter number 1, the rise of nationalism in Europe. Now, the age of revolutions from 1830 to 1848, we are talking about around 18 years. So, what happened here? As we already saw, the conservatives, those Rudiwadi, these regimes, they tried to consolidate their power. But liberalism and nationalism, liberalism we have already seen, that is those who have ideas of freedom, equality, and nationalism is the love for the country, for the region, for the people, for the culture. And these came to be increasingly associated with the revolution. Various parts of Europe, like Italian and German states, the provinces of Ottoman Empire, Ireland and Poland. And this was led by whom? This was led by the educated middle class elite, that is professors, school teachers, clerks, members of the commercial middle classes. And the first one started in France in July 1830. The Bourbon kings, who have been restored by the conservatives to the power after the reaction of 1815, they were now overthrown by these liberal revolutionaries. And they installed a constitutional, here is a constitutional monarchy. The monarchy is there, but it is constitutional, with Louis Philippe. And Metternich, the Hungarian chancellor, he said once at that time that whenever France sneezes, means the ripples in the wave goes to Europe also. That is, the rest of the Europe also catches cold. One more thing happened, because the July Revolution, it sparked an uprising in Brussels also. That's Brussels is in Belgium. So Belgium broke away from Netherlands. Right? So the event, there is a very important event, that is the Greek War of Independence, and this event mobilized, you can say, the national feeling among all the educated elite across the Europe. Now, Greece has been a part of Ottoman Empire since the 15th century. And because the revolutionary nationalism idea was going on or growing, there was a struggle for independence among the Greece now, or Greek people, which began in 1821. Those who were living in exile, the nationalists, they are also supporting this. And also the Western European, because they believe in the Greek culture, the great ancient Greek culture, they believed in this, so they also have sympathies. And others like the poet, artist, all others who believe in culture, they also help to support because they are mobilizing the public opinion, because they think and they have an idea that Greek and Greece, they have a struggle against Muslim empire. I'll tell you about the Muslim empire by a picture. It is basically the Turks or Turkey. This Muslim empire, we are talking about them. Here is Lord Byron. He was a poet. Now, he organized fun, even went to the war, but he died because of fever in 1824. And finally, Greece got its independence by the Treaty of Constantinople of 1832. So there was an idea, romantic idea or love idea, love imagination and national feeling. So we can't just say that nationalism only prospered or spread just because of the expansion, wars, killing, etc. No. The culture also played a very important role for creating or spreading this idea of nation, that is the region, the people. That is art, poetry, stories, music, all these combined, they shape the national feelings. So if you see the Romanticism, there were romantic artists who, the poets, they actually, because there was a middle class elite people educated, but the romantic artists and poets, they criticized. That is, why you're reasoning. There should not be reasoning, there should not be science. But everything should be focused on love, emotion, intuition, and the mystical feeling. That is, we share collective heritage, common past, and that should be the basis of nation. That is, the culture, the art, the thing which we all have in common should be the basis of nation. These things are being thought by these artists and poets. Okay, those, you can say, those Romanticism theory. So this is the picture I was about to show you about. These are the Turks, and these are especially the women and kids being shown. And this is the idea of the Delacroix. He wanted to portray the massacre at Chios. So this island of Chios, this happened, and around 20,000 Greeks were killed by Turks or Turkey people. So this is how the idea of nationalism, idea of emotions, etc., to gain or to create the sympathy for the Greeks, this picture helped. And there were a number of pictures. This is one of them. When we go to German philosopher John Gottfried Herder, he claimed that the true German culture was to be discovered among these common people, that is Das Volk, and the spirit of nation from folk songs, poetry, dances, that is the Volksgeist. This was popularized, right? So these idea collection and recording of this folk culture, these are essential according to these philosophers. That is, the idea should be there for projection of the nation building. They have an idea that the language, that is the vernacular language or the regional language, should be popularized, and the folk should be should recover the ancient national spirit, and also will carry forward the national message, specifically to those mostly illiterate, because picture songs, they can be understood by illiterates, not other things. If we take an example of Poland, see, Poland was being partitioned at the end of 18th century by the great powers, Russia, Prussia, and Austria. So Poland didn't have the independent territory, but there was music, there was language. Karol Kurpinski, he celebrated the national struggle through opera, through music, and then he also, turning folk dances like the Polonaise and Mazurka into national symbols. So he helped it. So how the Polish people or Polish artists, they kept the idea, or they spread the idea by music, by dance, by other cultures as a national, they made them as national symbols. And the language is also not very far. Language also played a very important role in developing the nationalist sentiments. We'll take again an example of Poland. So when Russia has occupation, Polish language was forced out of school. That is, the Russian language needs to be, Polish people were forced to learn this language, right? And there was rebellion, but it was being crushed by Russian. So the member of the clergy, that is the elite people of Poland, they used their Polish language as the weapon of national resistance. That is, in the church gathering or religious instruction, Polish language was used, and they were sent to jail also, and some were sent to Siberia. But the use of this language was the Poland or Polish people's symbol for the Russians, that this is our means for the struggle that was against the Russian dominance. Then it was all hunger, hardship, and popular revolt. We will see that is in 1830s. It was these are the years of great economic hardship. That is, the population was too much increasing, and the jobs were not there. There were overcrowded slums because people don't have place to stay, because they have come to the urban areas, and also the imports from England which are coming. England was already industrially well equipped, that is industrial revolution. Because of this, England was producing good stuff and you can say cheap stuff. So it started coming to Europe, and in Europe these stuff or these textiles, they were made in homes and they have a very small workshop. So they cannot compete with the English stuff or England textile. So everyone, essentially you can say they got jobless. And the rise of food price also, the bad harvest, all added to the hunger and hardship. So in the year 1848 was one of this year, because the food shortage, unemployment, the population of Paris came on the road, and the barricades were erected, and Louis Philippe was forced to flee. Then National Assembly, it came into action. This is the peasants' uprising picture of 1848. So the National Assembly proclaimed republic and also gave the voting right above 21 years of age, and also guaranteed that employment will be there through right to work. And also various national workshops were being set up. But earlier in 1845, weavers in Silesia, they also revolted against the contractors, because the contractor would give them raw material, but when the finished material they take, they give very small payments. So it was all, started on 4th June, 2 p.m. Large crowd of viewers, they just went, and they were very, you can say, in peace at that time. They just wanted to talk, but they went and they were badly treated. They just went inside, broke everything which came into in their way, like the window panes, furniture, porcelain, and they just took the cloth out of the storehouse and just shredded them. And the contractor has to run away, but nobody would give him shelter in the nearby village also. So by the help of army, he returned after 24 hours. And then after, what happens to these weavers, to poor people? Yes, of course, this happened. 11 weavers were shot after this. Shot dead. And if you see that this uprising or poor, unemployed, starving peasants, they were fighting, they were revolting. But on the other side, there were one more revolution going on. This was by educated middle class. Events of February 1848 in France had brought about the abdication of the monarch and a republic based on universal male suffrage. This has been proclaimed by the other side of the revolt which was taking place. And there are other parts of Europe where still the nation states were not there, like Germany, Italy, Poland, and Austro-Hungarian Empire. The men and women of this liberal middle class, they tried to combine their demands with the constitutionalism. That is, for national unification, they also want that constitutionalism should also be there. And they saw this, they were aware of this uprising by the poor, unemployed, and starving peasant. So they added their idea with this present unrest. That is, they added the idea of a constitution, the freedom of press, and the freedom of association. If you see, in German region, large number of political association of whose members were middle class professionals, businessmen, and prosperous artisans, they came together in the Frankfurt city, and they decided to vote for all German National Assembly. And this is the National Assembly we are talking about. This is the picture. These are members sitting here making the constitution. So these people, these were, say, all German National Assembly was proclaimed, and on 18 May 1848, that picture shows that 831 elected representatives in a festive procession, they came that in the Frankfurt Parliament, in the Church of St. Paul, and they also drafted a constitution, and a monarch will be subjected to head it. So when they tried to offer this to Frederick Wilhelm at that time, the king of Prussia, this guy, he rejected. He said no. He just joined the monarchs to oppose the elected assembly, right? And while this opposition of aristocracy and military, it became stronger, this parliament has nothing to do. It just eroded. And because the parliament has a lot of people, or many people, who resisted the demands of workers and artisans, they have to lose their support. And finally, the troops were called, and this assembly was nowhere to be found. It was just disbanded. So the issue of extending this political right for women also took place, because women were there. Women were always there. They found their political association, founded newspaper, and also taking parts in different demonstration, etc. But despite that, they were denied. They were denied the suffrage, that is, they can't vote. Even if you see in this picture, these are the women just standing as observers. They have nothing to do in decision making. They were just as observers sitting in the visitors gallery. So now the conservative, that is the Rudiwadis, the forces were able to suppress liberal movement. That is, the conservatives, they suppressed the liberal movement. Now, they could not restore the previous old order, because monarchs, they understood that these people are going to revolt and we are going to repress. Then they are going to revolt again. So there will be a cycle. So if this cycle goes on and on, this revolution, repression, this cycle will go on and on. For that, what we need to do? They have to give concessions to the liberal nationalist revolutionaries, and it happened. The autocratic monarchies of Central and Eastern Europe, they introduced the change. The serfdom, that is the dasatva, people who are working as bonded laborers, and those who were not being paid, just they are working. This was being abolished both in Russia, also in Habsburg dominions, and also the Habsburg ruler, they granted more autonomy, swayattata, to the Hungarians in 1867. So this is what all happened at that time. So we have seen a lot of things. This is a chain going on. So last block of the chain we are going to see in the next discussion. Till then, thank you so much. Take care of yourself.